What's good, guys? How y'all doing today on this wonderful evening? Look, welcome to the More Podcast. You are tuned in with JB Stool with Increased Fruit on the More Podcast. The podcast that's designed to help you tap into that inner potential and bring out the more that already exists within you. Guys, we keep it short and sweet over here. Our segments are pretty cool. We do a little talk about how you can be potential and bring definition to who you are. That way, you may be effective in the life that you want to live. So, appreciate y'all. This is episode 4. It is called The Mood of Self-Encouragement. I'm going to say it again. The Mood of Self-Encouragement. And it's specifically designed, this episode. Number 1, encouragement is in your mood. And we're not talking about getting encouragement from external sources. We're talking about getting encouragement from self, internal sources. That way, it's consistent within your life always, and you feel it. It's not blanket statements. It's not hopeful, wishful thinking. It's embodied in the way that your energies move within your life and within your own body. Appreciate y'all. And y'all know how I am. I love to start off with affirmations. So we're going to get into our first segment today, our affirmation segments. And we do affirmations regularly because we understand that as a person think within their heart, that's who they are. And one of the things we need to do is redeem the self-talk that we have in our minds about our story, about our lives, and the way that we're perceiving other lives around us. I'll never forget, I was 15 years old when I was praying. It is a common trend. A lot of prayer in my life. I was 15 years old, I was praying, and I seen this vision. And when I seen this vision, I seen a person. And when I seen this person, it was like this energy force was revolving around him in a sphere. Keep in mind, I'm 15. And it was as if that person was in their own world. And they were walking along the path. This is the animation that's playing in my head in a meditative state. They're walking along the path, and then some other people come, and cool thing happened. They had this energy force around them in the shape of a sphere, and it was as if they were in their own world. And when two people interact, it was like their worlds combined. So these spheres came in together, and it intersected the way that you would see a diagram of what we used to do in school. We used to do compare and contrast diagrams. And there was commonalities by which people connect, and then there was differences that differentiated people. And I remember knowing from that everyone's in their own world, and it's like people are interacting, and when people interact, it's a clash of worlds. Little did I know that there was a such thing called energy bodies, and there's spheres of energy around people, but we're not going to get into that today. We're going to start with the self-encouragement. Because, I'm going to say it again, the story that you tell yourself, right, is your world. And we want to redeem the self-talk, the way that we imagine ourselves, the way that we define ourselves, because we are potential. So we're going to do this little affirmation today to kick it off. It's real simple, and it has to do with self-encouragement. You should apply this whole week or for the next few days and let it sink in. It's simple and sweet. It goes like this. I am in my highest order. I am in my highest order. And say it with me 3 times. We'll do it 3 times. I am in my highest order. I am in my highest order. I am in my highest order. In short, this means that I am, which speaks of identity, am identifying with my highest order, my utmost capability, my potential. I am my potential, and I am my upper potential. I'm close with God, my source. Sweet. Segment 2, guys. This is where we kind of get into the talk of the day. Brief talk. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. What is the mood of self encouragement. I was 20 years old. At 20 years old, I recognized that emotionally, I was quite unstable. I never had dealt with my emotions, and I never took a look into how I was the way that I was. And much of that came as a result of analyzing my childhood and certain traumas that exist within that. And there was some trends within my life that had caused me to be imbalanced, being in a state of loneliness, being very self-critical, and even dealing with self-hatred. I never forget writing the poem about that self-hatred when I was 16. Don't remember how the poem goes, but I could recall being 15, looking in the mirror, filled with so much shame and disgust, staring in my eyes and telling myself, I effing hate you, you bastard. Why you always effing up? This is why I'm so adamant about affirmations and redeeming the self-talk. Because the way that I used to motivate myself was to kick myself in the ass. I was like a slave master wanting to move myself towards my goals. Being motivated by fear and discouragement. Running away from being an idea of a disappointment, so much so that fueled me, giving me the energy to move forward. But there's one thing about moving forward by using negative energies. At the end of the day, you get where you gotta go, but you sick it in them up when you get there. You sick. So what I learned to do instead was go into the mood of self-encouragement. Now, I take that same intelligence and the same factors that motivate me, which is my will and my mind, and I inspire myself to move forward. Another affirmation I love to say is, I am divinely inspired. Here's the catch: without fear, without lack. Past tense, J.B. Stewart used to motivate himself with fear and lack. Being afraid to be a disappointment pushed him forward. Being afraid of failing pushed him forward. Now, J.B. Stewart is motivated by divine inspiration. Coming into my highest order pushes me forward. Feeling inspired about the potential, the dimensions that I see within myself inspires me to go forward, to evolve my own being. You dig what I'm saying? So when I start to get into that point in my life where I started to deal with traumas and go on, for lack of better terms, you can say this healing journey. But while I was going through this healing journey, I was learning important virtues like learning to be responsible, taking accountability for your actions, not making excuses, and taking accountabilities for your own thoughts and taking accountability for your own emotions, because your way of thinking is creating the platform for these emotions to carry on within your body. Upon doing that, I asked myself the question, because I didn't know, but I was hearing these things my whole life. I became a seeker. And I asked myself the question, what is emotions to begin with? How can I expect to be a person that's emotionally healthy if I don't even know what emotions are? So I started to study and read and think about it and ask God for an answer. And what I realized was emotions are energy in motion. It's quite simple. It's energy in motion. And then around that time, I learned about the theory of neuroplasticity, which pretty much says that the brain alters itself based upon your thinking, which is linked with the scripture in the Bible that says, as a man think within their heart, so are they, which also works in with another concept of repentance, which really means a shift in the alteration of the mind. And in that time, what I identified was, for me to put myself in a healthy emotional state, I have to create philosophies or paradigms or ways of thinking that are going to fuel a perspective to make my energy and my motivation go in the right direction. Jonathan Stewart, J.B. Stewart, could have continued to be a slave master until himself things like, get it together before you effing failure. Or you can't F up 1,000 times in a row. You need to do something different. Or instead of saying, pick it up, you piece of shit. Now I'm saying things like, I'm in my highest order. When I wake up, I get right to it. I'm abundant in energy. I'm connected with my divine source. I have everything that I need. I am a seed, but the seed is the same as the ecosystem. And from that point of going through that portion of learning to know thyself, that's why I came up with a philosophy, which is what this podcast is all about. That led me to it. Every human being is potential, but you must define yourself. So let's get back to it. The mood of self-encouragement. There's a gentleman, I think his name is Joe Dispenza, something of the sort. He has an interesting way of looking at this. Now, this is a gentleman who has a PhD. He's a doctor in studying the brain. Okay? He says that thoughts create pathways within the brain that establish paradigms or certain connections. When these things fire in the brain with electrical impulses, that is what you call emotion, energy in motion. Well, when you're in a certain emotional memory long enough, you go into a mood, which you can be in a mood for a long time. Say, for instance, an instance trigger you. You get in an argument with your husband, an argument with your wife, girlfriend, or boyfriend. For the next 3 days, you're out of whack. That's because you're still attached to the emotion of that event based upon how you perceived it. And he said that emotions then turn into temperaments, which is the long-term mood that you demonstrate. So a person that is very calm, relaxed, or collected, they are in moods that are settled a lot of the time. But a person that's very impulsive, angry, and hot-headed, they are in moods of anger and distress for long periods of time. And those moods, again, turn into temperaments, and those temperaments then define your personality, which is your character. So right now we're at the mood, right before we get into the temperament. The mood will establish your day. And we know that days go into weeks, and weeks go into months, and months go into years, and years go into decades, so on and so forth. The mood will carry you through your day. The mood will set the tone of your day, of your moments. If you're in a light mood, you will walk out of the house and be walking on sunshine. Whoa ho. If you're in a dark mood, you will walk out the house and everything will feel mucky and stucky and yucky. And the first thing someone says to you will sound mucky and stucky and yucky. A mood is like the emotional veil that you put over your eyes, or the emotional lens that you put over your eyes. That's going to give the color, the vibrance of the way that you perceive life. Not only the way you perceive life, but the way that you feel about your life. And we know that one of the secrets of having a good life is feeling good about yourself so that you can feel good about your life. That's usually the difference between a winner and a loser. That attitude of how they see and interact with their own self. Okay? Moods are super important. Super important. I encourage people, every day you wake up, you should work a good mood up. And before you go to bed, you should work a good mood up. In order to be encouraged, we have to be in those type of moods. So that way, when we come across situations, we have an outlook of overcoming. I'm not telling you nothing new. See, courage is an odd thing. To be encouraged is to be within courage. So when you're looking for encouragement, what's happening is you're looking to be in a state of courage. Courage, as is defined, is the ability to do something that frightens you. So to be encouraged is to be consistently in that winning mood, even though things appear to be rocky and shaky. Being an encouraged person isn't solidified unless there's a test that would try to come and discourage you. And something that discourages you is something that proactively works fear within your mind, within your emotional state, to keep you from moving forward. So really, we're talking about perspective. Discouragement only works if it stops you. Encouragement only works if it pushes you forward. Both of them requires you to respond intelligently in the midst of troubling circumstance. Now, I call this segment the mood of self-encouragement because in order to be in that courage or to be encouraged, you have to be in the right mood, because in the right mood will alter the way that you see your circumstance. If you hyped up, boom, before the game, or you know you've prepared and you feel good about your presentation, you're going to walk up on a stage, see all these people look at you, hear the fear signal come into your mind about maybe you look stupid, or you know you're not good at this type of thing, or what would these people think about me? You're going to reflect back to your preparation. And it won't be strictly logical. Well, I prepared, It would be, I feel that I can do this because I prepared, which shows yourself that you are in a mood to look at your situation and see positive outcomes. I don't care what no one says. Well, I do care what you say. I mean, if you can create a counter argument to make me think, I would listen to you. But right now, I'm under the impression that your mood alters the way that you see things. I'm under the impression that your feeling and your philosophy will, even the most pure, legit person who practices logic, even the most pure logic will be influenced by mood. Your thinking, your logic will always be moved by your mood and your emotional state. So again, the point is, if we want to be a person that's self-encouraged, hack all the other stuff. Get all the other foolishness out the way. Go right to it. Start to work on constantly living in good moods. I really, now at this point in my life, I forgive people quickly. I let things go pretty soon. I was at the lady who do my hair. She asked me about my ex-girlfriend. She said, what happened? I said, we're not together. Why? It didn't work out. And she said, she was nice. You know, I couldn't see why. I said, yeah, she was nice. And I meant that. She was a nice person, but it didn't work out. She was surprised because for me, there's no animosity or there's no bitterness, because I am not willing to give up victorious moods. I want to feel good. I know that that's the secret. To feel good about myself, to feel good about my life is a higher quality of life. I'm not going to hell emotionally because of what someone else did. I can control my mood. This is the mood of self-encouragement. I'm always encouraged, willing to move forward because I control my mood. Guys, you know me. Knowing it isn't good enough and thinking about it isn't good enough. We got to talk about ways to apply it. And this is the third segment. Here's 2 ways to work up a mood consistently in your life so that you can start to alter your emotional state. Feel better about your life, which then instantly increases the quality of your life. And here's real simple. The first one, work up a morning routine. Work up a morning routine. I was a person who wake up in the morning, I was real sluggish with it. So what I did was I decided to create a morning routine. I have this affirmation. When I wake up, I get right to it. Every morning, I take cold showers and I go through my gratitudes, then I do my prayers, and then I do something that's called a quality of feeling exercise, where I work up a good mood to start my day. Number 2, every night before I go to bed, if there's something that bothers me, I let it go. And I work up a good mood. Again, because I know what carries on in the dream state will amplify itself in the next day. And it's that simple. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me today for the More Podcast. Check it out. If this content inspires you, motivates you, help you in any way, please like, share, subscribe. Push that button. Yeah, right there, buddy. That's that subscribe button, because we come in here every week. I got more videos too, 2 series on the YouTube. I have the Man Nature series that you should check out for you guys about upgrading your masculine potential. And I have the Why I series, which is about what we're talking about right now, creating those habits that are going to sustain the lifestyle that you desire. This is the More Podcast. The podcast all about tapping into that inner potential and bringing out the more in you. Y'all be blessed. Peace.
It's a wrap, you heard me?